Hello all, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is about 1 o'clock on Thursday, June the 15th. I decided just to let you read chapter 6, just case study stuff, and we're not really organizing per se, but it's really some pretty practical information, so I would highly encourage you to read it if you haven't already. But what I would like to spend my time here doing is to go over some stuff, add to some stuff that I've sort of already gone over. Because, oh, and by the way, keep threading, keep doing everything. And new journal entry by the end of the weekend. Next week is a big week. Every week is a big week. Get to the schedule. You haven't memorized the schedule here. So next week is when we start having the big due dates, not just for the weekly stuff or the daily stuff or whatever. So, week 3, notice that the full advocacy plan is due in my inbox by Saturday morning, the 24th of June. So, which means, again, that you have to have a topic, obviously, whatever cause it is that you are dealing with. Have to have a solution. Gonna use them, but I can't really see that, can you? And in light of that framework, obviously you're going to use the rhetorical packages for those 4 avenues of advocacy. You got the oral discourse, which again is the YouTube thing. You've got the letter to the editor, and then you have a social media plan that is going to be, it's not a separate assignment, it's part of this overall plan, and then a plan for body rhetoric. Remember, the only sort of things that you're doing for grades are the YouTube speech and the letter to the editor out of those 4 avenues of advocacy. So you have that plan due next weekend, and then lickety-split, you got your YouTube speeches that are going to be due by the end of the day on Tuesday the 27th, and then you got the letter due by Friday, June 30th. So it's sort of the end of our 2 weeks. It's the midterm time. So just make sure that you're on target there, and hopefully some of the things that I'll say today will be somewhat helpful. So let's talk first about the plan, the YouTube speech and the letter. I'm asking you very specifically to structure it a particular way using the motivated sequence, Monroe's motivated sequence, and I do have a couple of links on KC for you. So I want to say a little bit about that, but in a sort of different way. I want to talk about what oftentimes we call stock issues. Okay, stock issues and livestock, cows, even though sort of contradiction, it's a contradiction to some of the things that the book is saying about non-human animals. This is a very happy cow. Okay, so go. There we go. These stock issues are sort of questions that you need to answer in any sort of persuasive design, any sort of designing persuasive message, right? So first, you're going to answer the question, is there a need for change? Because, and as the book has said, most people don't like big change. People like the status quo for the most part. So you have to show that there's something wrong with the current way that we are doing things. There is some sort of inequality. There is some sort of oppression, whatever it might be. There's homeless, whatever. You got to show that there is a need for change. And even as I am not specifying any sort of set number of sources or anything like that. This is a 300 level course, and I trust that you've taken COM 100 or LA 2211 or something like that. So I would, have some research and evidence to back up that, hey, there's evidence that this actual problem exists, or there's a need to change what we're doing now. It could be personal experience, it could be your experience with other people, whatever. But you got to say there's a need for change. Another question that you always need to answer: do you have a plan? What's your plan of action? What's your battle plan? And this is not just for getting people together. What is your plan for solving the problem? You can't just say, oh, homelessness is bad or whatever. Okay, what are you going to do about it? What is your plan to make things better? So you have to have a plan. You can't just complain and not have a plan. Now, you also have to explain or answer that your plan is workable. That is, it would actually solve the problem as you see it and interpret it, but it's also practical. It's not some sort of big, huge, radical change that's going to cost $1 bajillion. So you got to think about that. And sometimes things that sound good on paper, it's just not practical. You can't, where are we going to get the money to do that? So you got to show that we're going to solve this problem, and there's a practical way to do it. Will it lead to greater evil? A lot of people don't think about this, but when you're designing any sort of message, you have to answer this question and say, no, it will lead to good things happening. I've thought about the unintended consequences, and it's not going to actually make things worse. And is it desirable? That is, there's lots of different ways that we can, solve particular problems. You want to show that your solution has more advantages than perhaps some other solutions. So sort of a pro and con thing that you can do there. So these are some questions to think about, but remember, this is not an organizational framework. The stock issues is just something to think about as you are trying to put together the entire message. But when you organize things, you want to use the motivated sequence. And there are 5 sort of steps there. You want to grab the reader's or the audience attention. If you've taken a basic public speaking class, there's lots of different ways to do that. Rhetorical question, a nice little quote. I like quotes. Yoda once said, what did he say? I can't do Yoda. No, I'm Yoda. I really wish Yoda would have talked like, hey, I'm Yoda. Yoda. Look. It's a downward dog. Yoda's doing yoga. Okay. I'm going to be riding a cow. Oh, sorry. The force is not very strong with him. Okay, so grab the reader's or audience attention, but then need. You got to show that there's a need for change, and that's where your answer to is there a need to change from the status quo can be. It becomes the content of your message. Satisfaction. Here's your plan, right? How do we satisfy that need? Well, here's what I want us to do. And then you can also show that it's workable, it's going to solve the problem, and it's practical. Visualization. This is where you can sort of show that it's not going to lead to greater evil. It's going to really lead to some social positive change. And then a call to action. Here's what I specifically want my readers or audience to do to help me make sure that we actually make this change. Whether it's as banal as writing your representative or senator or whatever, or I'm going to have a rally or a protest or something like that. I would like you to come. So again, you're using this template for your speech, YouTube speech, and your letter. This organizational template. So when you go back to, oh, by the way, stake your place in the history of advocacy, and my apologies to the vegans and the vegetarians and the cows. Remember from the syllabus, this YouTube speech. So, okay, don't get everything that I just said confused with the plan that's due on Saturday. You are using the rhetorical package for that. And the motivated sequence actually could be part of your rhetorical strategy, because it is a rhetorical strategy. That's an organizational structure. Think of it as an outline, even though I'm not asking you to create an outline, but you can if you care about your education. I can't find it. So I say with the YouTube speech, okay, so you obviously are going to record yourself and then upload it to YouTube. You're going to have to get a YouTube account to do that if you don't already have one. I've already put links on KC to help you do that. Really, really easy, free, and fun for the entire family. And if you wanted to do your own more research, but I have done some research, and so a lot of the about the sort of the genre, or the context of YouTube, and a lot of it sort of inspirational type of speaking, some personal stories, very narrative structure, and I think this motivated sequence allows you to consider the process or narrative within that process. So I'm saying only 2 to 3 minutes. Right? So, and how you actually do it is up to you. If you want to use note cards, you want to do it a manuscript, but because of the context, you probably want to look at the camera and look. I've talked about this before when we were covering some of the stuff from Jason Delgandi's chapter. And you want to make sure your voice is clear. You want to be somewhat conversational. You want to think about where you're recording it, where the background's going to be, and all that type of stuff. But you could have somebody help you with a cue card or something. I don't know. But basically, you're going to say, hi, my name is, if you want to do that, whatever. Do something to grab the audience's attention out there. And then you're going to talk about the need for change.